What is up, everyone, and welcome back to the Talking Sports Podcast right here on YouTube, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. Make sure you guys follow us on social media at Talking Sports PD on Instagram and on X. All that stuff will be in the description. And as always, we are sponsored by Underdog Fantasy. Make sure you guys use code TSP for a 100% deposit match up to $100 on Underdog Fantasy. The link will be in the description as well. As you guys can see, we have another guest. We did another NFL draft interview about a week and a half ago, so you guys haven't checked that out. LaCarrier Pleasant Johnson out of Southern Utah. We did that about a week and a half ago, so go check that out on all the channels. Today, we got another special guest, Anton Popov of Barton football and most recently Warner football or Warner University football. Welcome on, my guy.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, man.
Of course. And obviously all your social medias will be down in the description. I do that just to support you as best as possible. So if you guys want to check him out on Instagram and on X, all that information will be in the description, as is everything else. Okay, NFL draft time. People are used to this, right? Like we have a ton of NFL draft content coming out, all that fun stuff. But before we do that, before we talk football, I always like to ask kind of my guests one question, whatever sport or whatever field they participate in, kind of outside of that, just to get us started here. So I'm going to ask you this. One interesting fact, we're kind of like going back to like we're in high school, right? Like everyone sits in a circle and then everyone gives us one interesting fact. So one interesting fact that is non-football related about you.
I'd say that I'm a first generation American. My parents are from Russia and Ukraine, so I speak fluent Russian.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Do you speak it like in your household and all that kind of stuff? Is that what
Yeah. It's like a mixture. Like I can't read or write in it, but I can speak it fluently because it was my first language. Because we spoke it obviously at home, but it'll be like a sentence with a mixture of like English words and Russian words, because some Russian words it's just easier for me to not say and just half of the sentence in English. So, I mean, my parents have been in the United States for 20 plus years. So, you know, they speak and understand fluently as well. So
like a broken kind of Russian, basically. Russian English kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, if I was to go to Russia, I would definitely survive, you know, like be able to understand conversation, that sort of thing. So
that's cool. That's a first. That's definitely a first on this channel. I've not had anyone speak a different, well, maybe they could speak a different language. They never told me that they could speak a language, and definitely no one that could speak Russian. So that's definitely interesting, and viewers would be interested to hear that. Let's talk about football here. So obviously you spent time 4 years at Barton College, 4 years of undergrad, and then you did your grad year at Warner University. So you spent 5 years playing college football. Let's talk about, you can combine them both. You can talk them separately. It's kind of up to you, but talk about both those schools and how both those programs kind of helped you develop into the player you are today.
Yeah. Well, I actually, there was a stint where after I left Barton, I grad transferred. I was at another school in conference, in the same conference for a brief year. And I ended up transferring. So I kind of talk about all three in a quick.
Go for it.
But I came in as a freshman in 2019. And the program was a brand new Division II program. So it was starting from scratch. The team was built with about 70 to 80 guys. And of those 70 guys, by my senior year, I'd say only 25 of us stuck around. The rest either all, you know, quit football or transferred or whatnot. So it was a weird time that first year because our facilities weren't really built. I remember my freshman year, we kept our equipment pads, equipment, cleats, and all that in our dorm on the patio.
Really?
So yeah, because we didn't have a locker room, we were just renting space from an old mail room. So that was our locker room for about the entire, I'd say, 8 months or so. And, you know, our stadium wasn't completely built. We had turf field and stuff, but the seats and stuff, bleachers weren't built. So that entire freshman year, we all redshirted because it was a brand new program, and we didn't have a season. So all we did was practice that entire fall. Fast forward to COVID, about a couple months later, COVID hits, and then our season, our inaugural season, didn't end up happening. So our season got bumped down to the spring, and we only played 4 or 5 games. So that's kind of how I got my 2 years of eligibility back from the redshirt year and then that COVID season. So it was very interesting because we were all freshmen playing up against like juniors and seniors and 5th and 6th years. So that kind of allowed us to grow up quicker in a sense when it comes to football. I started since my freshman year, and we had maybe 2 or 3 upperclassmen that were kind of transferred in and recruited to help us out. But so like we didn't really have any older guys to look up to. We were the older guys. And, you know, we just had a fun 4 years at Barton doing undergrad. And then for that, I was looking for a change, and I ended up grad transferring to a school called Catawba. It's within in-conference, same conference as we were playing in Barton. And they kind of used me more of like a special teams guy in those types of roles. And it's just I was looking for kind of a bigger role in a sense. So that's why I had decided to leave and ended up just dropping in Florida. Never would have thought I would have guessed up in Florida, but I'm very grateful that I did that, and I have no regrets doing that. So Warner University that was where I was most recently at this past fall. And kind of the reason why I chose Warner, they're actually NAIA, so it's a little bit different of a conference/division. But their coaching staff were all pretty much ex-NFL veterans. Everyone on the coaching staff had some sort of professional experience in a sense. And that's kind of what I wanted. I wanted to be coached by the best. I wanted to be coached by people who had been a part of it. And actually my head coach, he was an undrafted wide receiver. So he kind of has a similar story. And he asked me one time why I chose Warner. And I said, I liked your story, coach. That's why I came. So, you know, I ended up moving around. I came in as a receiver and a returner, and our team was very young. We had a lot of injuries go down. And so I got moved to running back for 2 to 3 weeks. And that was kind of my first time playing running back in a sense. I've taken, you know, snaps of like catching passes out the backfield, but never, you know, rushes. So learning that was a pretty cool experience. And it was because our first game we played Stetson University, and our 2 starting running backs, they got a little banged up. So I was kind of just that next player that could fit that role. I was always an athlete growing up. I played both sides of the ball in high school. So a little fast forward a little bit or later on in the season, talks were that they needed help on defense, and I was like, well, shoot, I don't mind playing safety at all. I played a strong and free in high school and a little bit of corner. So I ended up switching over to defense, learning coverages, that sort of thing within a week or 2. But it was a very fun experience. It was kind of just like, okay, this is my 6th year of college football. I have absolutely nothing to lose. I'm willing to do whatever to help the team, whether that's, you know, gunner, returning punts, kicks. I've pretty much played on every type of special team you can think of. So that's kind of college football story in a sense. And flash forward a couple months after this season, I get an invite to the FCS Bowl as a safety. So in my head, I'm thinking, okay, I've been a receiver pretty much my entire college career, and I get an invite as a safety, and I'm like, I really just jumped on the opportunity. I've never thought that it was a bad idea. I always jump on opportunities when I see them.
Yeah.
So I went into FCS Bowl. I played some safety and returned punts, mainly that bowl game. And it's funny you interviewed LeCarrier. Actually, me and him both, we know of each other from the FCS Bowl and then the Tropical Bowl. So they picked the top, 20, 25, 30 guys to move up to the Tropical Bowl and play against, better talent. And so I got invited as a receiver / athlete in a sense.
Yeah.
I didn't take any defensive reps at the Tropical Bowl, although the plan was to get me in on some. It just wasn't in our hands. They had brought in about 25 or so DBs, so it was kind of just a matter of reps.
Numbers game kind of thing.
Yeah, we only had about 7-8 receivers on our team.
Yeah.
So I figured, hey, I'll go where the reps are at. It doesn't really matter where I play, but yeah, and then just ended up turning some punts and that sort of thing. So
that's a crazy college story. I would say. I would say that's a little bit different than most people. I think you would agree on that.
Yeah, no, I would agree as well.
Not a bad thing. Not a bad thing at all. Obviously, everyone has their path and their certain path. But you mentioned, or you just talked about wide receiver, running back, and playing safety. Mm-hmm. Where do you see yourself at the next level, or where does the next level see yourself at? Kind of like it might not be kind of in your hands, but kind of where do you fit? Like what position do you think you fit at?
Yeah, I think I see myself either at receiver or safety, definitely returning punts and playing special teams. I've always been a gunner and ran down on kickoff as well. So whether it's making a tackle or catching the ball, that kind of doesn't really matter to me. I'd say my heart lies more towards offense, but defense was just like natural to me. I grew up, tackling, playing football outside. So it's just like when I got to the defensive side of the ball, I was just being an athlete, like not really playing too much with technique, obviously, because I hadn't been a defensive back most of my college career. So I didn't, I was kind of behind on certain technique stuff. But, at the end of the day, football, you want to make the tackle or you don't. And it's kind of like a mindset on defense, which I like that aspect because the effort that you put in is what you get out. You either want to make that tackle or you don't want to make that tackle. Or, just being a receiver, you have extra ball skills that a defensive back might not have grown up with. So
makes sense. Let's talk about your pro day, because that was when I was scrolling through after we decided to do this, right? Obviously, I was doing a little bit more background on you, trying to get familiar with myself here with this. And obviously I found your X page, Twitter page, and you pulled this up. If you can see it, it's obviously a little small. If you're on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, I'm sorry. And unfortunately, go over to YouTube and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and you'll get to see this. If you're on YouTube, obviously you can see this. But this talks about your pro day, right? And it talks about how, I'll paraphrase it for people, but you talked about how you hopped in your car on a Friday, drove 9 hours to Florida for a CFL workout on Saturday, proceeded to run a 4.62 40-yard dash and a 4.19 5.10 shuttle, did 101s and independent work, right? And then you got a scout request in a pro day in NC State, hopped back in your car on a Saturday night and drove home 9 hours. And then 2 days later, you ran a 4.74 40-yard dash. You had a 34-inch vert, 9.8 broad jump, 4.25 shuttle, 7.3 on your 3-cone, and then 22 reps on a bench. So you proceed to do a CFL workout, right? And then you get invited to do an NC State pro day, right? Obviously, everyone knows who NC State is. You get to do an NC State pro day and do all of that. How was that experience, man? Because that seems like in about a 2 to 3 day span, seems like a lot.
Yeah. Well, so after the Tropical Bowl, I started preparing for a pro day. I didn't know where I was going to do it yet at the time. And in the back of my mind always was NC State, because it's 10 minutes away from my house, and I have a bunch of previous high school teammates that played there, so it was just home and the right fit. So I started training. We went about 8 to 10 weeks, and I didn't have I wasn't on the list to attend NC State's pro day, obviously, because you need scout requests, and it's a long, tedious process in a sense. So I'm like, okay, I'll put things into my own hands once again. So there was a CFL team that had interest in me from the Tropical Bowl. And they had invited me over to a workout down in Tampa, Florida. So I jumped on the first opportunity, like I did again down at the FCS Bowl. I drove down there. In my mind, as I'm driving, I'm thinking, okay, like I'm literally just going to get this scout to I'm going to perform well. I'm going to get a scout request into NC State's pro day. I don't really care if it's 3 days after the workout, because this is like, the biggest job interview.
You got to do what you got to do.
You got to do what you got to do. And no matter like how my body felt, I performed the best that I could, not having any kind of regrets. But I mean, the workout was on Saturday. We ran 240s, 2 shuttles, did one-on-ones. I mean, people were flying around, competing and stuff. It was probably, I'd say, close to 2.5 hour workout. And I actually took some reps at, running back and receiver. So I kind of wanted to put myself out there, do whatever, as much as I possibly could. And I even was going to end up doing some safety, but we didn't get around to it. So 2 days later, I'm at NC State, and it's go time to do pro day. So I felt prepared. I know I was prepared because of who I was training with for pro day. Shout out to Duke Sports Science Institute. And their team just did a heck of a job as far as preparing us mentally, physically. They're pretty much all ex-NFL alumni, so that we knew what to expect coming into pro day.
Yeah, it's if I had it up on the screen earlier, people on YouTube, you can read it. Go to his X page and you can see it, and it was crazy. It was a lot. I just read it. It took me a while to read it. That's how crazy your whole couple of days were. How would you evaluate yourself at your pro day? Do you think, like, obviously you gave everything you got. Do you think anything you're disappointed in, anything you're like, oh crap, I didn't think I was going to do that well in that certain aspect? Like, how would you evaluate your pro day at NC State?
Sure. Yeah. I'd say right off the bat, obviously the 40, the 4.7, not what I was shooting for at all. Yeah. And I don't like talking about like regrets or anything like that. But at the end of the day, I'd say I was a little fatigued. I was battling a hamstring kind of leading up to it. So as far as the other numbers, I believe it was a 9.8 broad, 7.3 cone. I wish I kind of hammered away on the technique a little bit more on the 3 cone, because when I go back and watch film on all my drill work and stuff, it looked smooth on video, but there's certain techniques that you just kind of got to continue hammering away, that can literally take, a tenth, 2/10, 3/10 of a second off of your time. And 3 cone drill is one of those as well. But as far as, everything else, I was pretty satisfied with everything. But at the end of the day, everyone can always get better. And that's kind of, that's what I'm doing now, figuring out, okay, what can I do better? To improve. So
no, it makes sense. And look, I'm assuming you're stoked you got that opportunity to obviously do the CFL workout for a CFL team, which is obviously another avenue into professional football, and then obviously at NC State which is another avenue into professional football. Let's talk about, I know you mentioned a little bit earlier, but I want to bring this on the screen as well. We'll talk about your Tropical Bowl. Yeah. And CBS did an article about the Tropical Bowl, right? They kind of did their kind of standouts here. And you're listed on one of the standouts, right? And if people on YouTube, if you're on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, once again, you miss out on this. But if you're on YouTube, you can see some of the standouts: Vanderbilt kid, Rutgers, Washington, and then you got you, right? Like, how would you evaluate your Tropical Bowl experience? Reading this and seeing this, like, how would you evaluate your whole experience there?
Yeah, coming in to the Tropical Bowl, I knew that most likely nobody was going to know who I was, right? Because coming from a very small school, not a very sought out after like recruit or anything like that. So my main mindset, my goal coming into the Tropical Bowl was, okay, I need to catch the attention of something to where get noticed or whatever. And luckily, somebody noticed, and obviously CBS wrote about that. But it was a great experience, just being around like people who played at a higher level. And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, like you belong here. There's no reason why you don't match up against any of these people, let alone, most of them haven't played multiple positions or whatever.
Yeah.
I really didn't, and I'm actually listed as a wide receiver / athlete on their roster. So I mean, coming in, I didn't really care whether they were going to have me play receiver or safety. I just was happy to be there as far as going up against ACC, SEC level talent, and I mean, I had a blast. Returned some punts in the game. It's kind of actually crazy. The day of the game. It was like a massive storm coming through and like heavy rain. And so there was probably, I'd say 20 to 30 players that just left, just dipped out before the game even started because of how bad, because of how bad the game or the weather
that's not
was.
recommended though. I feel like you would.
Yeah.
Right. Like you don't get that many, depending on where you are in your draft stock, right, and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
How many opportunities do you get to perform in front of scouts, perform in front of NFL teams? But I feel like if it's hailing out, I don't think it matters, right? That's what my mindset would be.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even if I was for example, I don't know, Shadur Sanders or something, and I was playing in the Tropical Bowl, me personally, my mindset, I'd still play. Like there's no reason to not play. I mean, football is a game where you can get injured at any moment. So, I mean, it was just a kind of a business decision a lot of the players made. So in my head, I'm thinking, okay, I just get more reps. Like that's fine with me. So I took reps out of the backfield, kind of in a H-back slot position. Also kind of hipped off where the tight end would be, returned punts. And it was a great experience. Ended up getting a couple of text messages for like and this is like a routine thing I'm assuming teams will do, but just like questionnaires from NFL teams to fill out regarding your background information, whatever kind of information they really were looking for. So I got a couple of texts that I was able to kind of just put myself out on the radar in a sense. So
well, it worked out for you that you stayed around.
Yeah, it's for sure. Yeah, and it actually, the sun came out 30 minutes after the rain.
Really? So, yeah. Weather's a funny. I'm not a weather guy, but it's a funny thing, and sometimes works out in your favor. So great experience. Obviously, I'm assuming you're thankful that you got that opportunity. You sent me some of your film. Let's go over a little bit of your film here. You sent me a Google Drive, so I'm gonna let's see, how do I get this up here? Nope. See, this is doing live recording when people understand what goes into this, right? Like, okay, we're going to share this. If you can you see this?
I can, yep.
Holy crap, it's small. Okay. That's the biggest I can do.
Man. Okay.
Full screen. All good. Wait, no, that's speed. Nah, all good. It's fine. Not the end of the world, but we'll go through a couple here and then we'll keep moving here. So we're talking about, let's see. We're talking about here special teams, right? What's going on here? Break it down for everyone here. Like your punt returning, obviously, just kind of what goes into that and all that kind of stuff. We're just using this as an example. If you can't see it, he's returning a punt right now.
Yeah. Well, the first thing with punts really is you have to catch everything. I want to give credit to Coach Burnett over at Barton. He was the first one that pretty much taught me that because you don't want punts to bounce, and it's just a matter of field possession. Like you want to put your offense in the best possible position to drive down the field. So one thing that I value in punt returning is catching the ball and just getting upfield. I will say I don't do a lot of fair catching. And it's just you kind of just, when you're back there, you just have like a different mindset. Like, well, first of all, the ball is the first prize. You have to catch the ball. But I'm looking to get some yards after catching the punt. So,
yeah. And obviously your ability to play special teams at the next level gives you a step above some other people that can't play special teams, right? Like we're looking at here, you're blocking here right now on, no, sorry, you're not blocking. You're playing some defense here, actually. let's
Yeah.
rewind this and watch you play some defense here. So what's going on here? What are you doing here? And like what happened? What's going on here?
Yeah. So that was actually he's about 6'8", 6'9". I don't think the
Oh
video does a
no,
good justice.
what are you listed at?
I'm listed at 5'9.5", I believe. I'm 5'9", 5'10".
A little shorter
So
than 6'8", 6'9".
yeah, yeah. So yeah, with bigger guys, I just feel like I know that they're not as mobile in their hips and can't
Yeah.
really move around too well. So I went physical with him, and just didn't let him get an off release on that, and then just kind of just played through his hands to not let him catch the ball. So.
Love it. Let's go through. Let's see what we got. So this is you playing receiver here. You can see it
Hmm.
by circle. So we'll go through this and then we'll wrap up the film. We get a little bit. We get a little defense. We get a little special teams, and we get a little offense from you here. So what's going on here? What are we looking at here?
So this was just a seam right up the middle. I caught it. Actually, he laid the wood on that one.
Yeah.
It was a pretty good hit on that one. But I mean, I kind of throttled in that little space because there was only one high safety. So I knew that the ball was going to have to come out quick, or else I was just going to run into him. And I kind of kept my stem vertical, because if I just came inside too much, I would have met the safety and probably wouldn't have been able to catch that ball. He probably would have boomed me before I even got to the ball.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's you kind of live, if you play in the slot, those seam balls, you have to, be reliable in catching those, because you're going to get hit. It's a matter of, okay, can you lock in on the catch and just make the catch?
Do you see that pre-snap? Like, do you see where the safeties are playing, where the corners are playing, where the linebackers are playing, that you're going to have that space? You catch the ball right around the 40-yard line. You guys snap it around the 45, right? Like, you see that space that you're going to have that space in that room to make that play pre-snap kind of?
Yeah, 100%. And I always look at where the safeties are, how many safeties are pre-snap, because that kind of dictates and plays a role on how you run your route.
Mm-hmm.
So
You'll watch it one more time so you can see you start at the 48, 49, and you're just seaming. Then you look, you get hit, but that's part of the game. So
yeah.
you see it. So look, little film breakdown there for you guys. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, unfortunately you can't see that, but we get a little special teams, we get a little defense, and we get a little receiving. You can do everything, man. I respect that. Let's shift a little towards more maybe the NFL and kind of this stuff and how you model yourself. So give me one player on defense in the NFL and one player on the offense that you model your game after, or that you think is similar to how you play.
Okay, yeah. I would say on defense, Jabril Peppers.
Yeah. Michigan guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he did everything in college, and
Yeah.
I respect him for it as well. He did it at a much higher level than me.
Mhm.
And he's kind of built similarly. I'd say 5'10". He's maybe 220 or 225. I'm a little lighter than that. But offensively, I'd say Julian Edelman. That's who I kind of looked up to in high school.
Mhm.
He actually wasn't even a receiver in college. He played quarterback.
Yeah.
So
Kent
it's kind
State.
of yeah. So it's
Yeah.
kind of funny how that all played out, and I've had some people compare me to him in the past. So I feel like that's my offensive comparison.
Is there anybody in the NFL right now that, if you're a defense or if you're a receiver, that you want to go up against? If you're playing safety, you're going up against a receiver, tight end, or if you're a receiver, you're going up against a DB. Could be either set. Anybody that you're like, oh crap. I was talking to Carrier last week, and he was like, said he was scrolling through Instagram. He was like, oh crap, I'm gonna have to go against AJ Brown. And his eyes kind of lit up. I was like, yeah, you're gonna have to go up against AJ Brown. And he listed receivers he wants to go up against. I think he said AJ, he said Stephon Diggs, he said Puka Nacua, and he said Jameson Williams as some of the receivers he wants to go up against. But when he said he was scrolling through Instagram and said, oh crap, look at AJ Brown, I have to go up against him. And I was like, yeah, you do. That's why you're doing it, and I'm not. So anybody on any side of the ball that you're looking forward to go up against in the NFL?
Let's see. I would say if I was on defense, I would love to guard Cooper Kupp,
Okay.
just because he kind of besides Julian Edelman, Cooper Kupp is someone that I kind of have modeled my game after in a sense. And then I've actually got a couple friends who play for former teammates, people I grew up playing with. I would love to play against them if I could. Cameron Johnson, he plays for the Bucks. And Cam, if you're watching this, we definitely have to line up and go up against each other if I'm on defense. But and then my other friend, Brandon Cotterington, he plays for the Bills. He's a safety.
I'm a Bills fan.
Oh, okay. No,
I'm
okay.
a Bills fan. He's a legit returner, kick returner.
Yeah.
He's legit. He took I don't think he took anything in the house last year. I don't want to say, but he was dying. He might have. I could be wrong. So don't get mad at me, people, if I'm wrong on that. But he's a legit kick returner, punt returner, and he does.
Yeah. We grew up same or 15 minutes apart, our high schools. So, we trained together in the past a bunch and played against each other in high school. So, we call him B-COD. So I would love to go up against B-COD if that opportunity, was up at the next level.
Yeah, he was a Jet, and then they sent him over to us for either a 6th or a 7th round pick. I want to say it was for a late day 3 pick, and it's worked out last year for the Bills. He was punt returner, a kick returner in a Super Bowl contending team. Look, he didn't get a ton of reps defensively, right? Obviously, it's tough to break into a team that's that high of a level, but he played punt returner and kick returner, so it tells you what special teams does for you in a chance to play in the NFL, because he's made himself a nice little path for the Bills, and he's been legit. And look, people get mad at punt returners and kick returners when they put the ball on the ground. And I got no complaints from anything he did last year. So,
I talked to him not too long ago, and he's like dialed in. He wants the best for himself this upcoming season. So I think you guys will be see big things ahead with him and the Bills.
Tell him to take a couple to the house now.
Yeah, I'm sure he will. Yeah.
We were talking about the NFL. Have you met with any NFL teams? Have you had any conversations with any NFL teams? And if you have, how have those gone?
Not directly over the phone or anything like that. At Pro Day, at the end of our workout, after all the combine testing and stuff, all the scouts met for about 10 minutes, and then they decided who they wanted to see for the little private workout at the end. And they ended up sending, out of 45 or so kids, they sent about 38 home, and then kept myself and about 5-6 other guys, and a Charger scout was one of those that had picked me, and we haven't had any direct conversation after that. I have had a scout reach out from Miami Dolphins regarding signing some consent form, release form, and that was after the pro day as well. But at Tropical Bowl, like I said, nobody really knew kind of coming in who I was. So, heck, at the hotel lobby, I was out there introducing myself, shaking everyone's hands, kind of just telling them about my story, how I played all sorts of positions and stuff.
Yeah, and then obviously that process is ramping up. And how you talked about you worked out with a CFL team. Could you tell me that team? If not, if you don't want to say who that is, no worries.
Sure. I mean, I don't think. I don't think there's any rules against not saying it. It was the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Okay.
Me and the assistant GM kind of have been back and forth. I mean,
do you see that as an avenue as well for you potentially?
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, I don't turn down opportunities at all. So 100%. I've got a couple of buddies that actually play up there in the CFL, and they enjoy it. They're having a good time, and at the end of the day, they're still playing football and stuff. So
getting paid to play football.
Yeah.
We can do this NFL and CFL style, but why? If I was a GM or of an NFL team or a CFL team, and I ask you, why should we draft you? Why should we sign you? Why should we take a chance on you? How are you answering that question?
I would say because I'm the hardest worker in the room. I don't let anything stand in my way, in a sense. when it comes down to the scout request into pro day, I kind of took matters into my own hands. I figured, okay, let me bet on myself once again. So I did that, and I'd say that I'm a very dependable teammate and willing to do whatever needs to get done, whether it's special teams, catching punts, catching kicks, tackling somebody. So yeah.
Awesome, man. And one final question before we get out of here. Obviously, all his social medias will be in the description. So, guys, go check him out on X and on Instagram. And as always, follow us on Talking Sports PD on X and Instagram as well. And we are sponsored by Underdog Fantasy. As always, shout out to Underdog Fantasy. One final question, and we'll get you out of here, man. I really appreciate you taking 30-plus minutes to sit down and talk with me. But what is your draft a couple weeks away? About 2.5 weeks. What are your expectations for draft week? What are you doing that week? Like, where's your mind at? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah. For draft week, my expectation is that a team gives me an opportunity, however that may look, because I know that once that happens, once that opportunity comes, they won't regret it. And I've always capitalized on all my opportunities. And I've just kind of got like that underdog mindset. Coming in, whether it's for rookie minicamp, I don't see myself as a rookie. Like I see myself way ahead of a lot of whoever else that they're bringing in, just because of my preparation with Duke Sports Science Institute. We watch film twice a week with a 10-year NFL vet who, has been a head coach at Division I level, has coached in the NFL, has coached in the XFL.
Who's the vet?
Steve Wilson.
Okay.
And he's actually got it's a kind of crazy story. He's got a similar story to mine. He came in as a receiver in the NFL. They switched him over to a corner, and he ended up playing 10 years in the league as a corner. So he tells a story about him guarding Jerry Rice and all sorts of those legends. So
that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate you taking the time. Anything else you want to say to everyone that's watching, if you're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube? Anything else you got to say before we get out of here, man?
I guess for any of my former teammates, if they're watching this, I'd say just to believe in yourself, even when rejection is thrown your way. You kind of have to just like see the vision yourself and go for what you believe. So that would be something that I would tell my previous teammates. And I just want to shout out to my agent, Jason Ross. You can find him on Instagram at Agent JMR. And yeah, my Instagram is just Anton Popov 03.
Yeah. All that stuff will be in the description. Like I said, man, I really appreciate you taking the time. I wish you the best of luck if it comes to NFL draft, if it comes to the CFL, but I wish you the best of luck in your professional football career.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Peter. I appreciate you having me on.
Of course, man. As always, guys, follow us on social media, Talking Sports PD. Follow Anton on all his social medias down below. And as always, we are sponsored by Underdog Fantasy. Make sure you guys use code TSP for a 100% deposit match up to $100. Appreciate Underdog Fantasy. Guys, that's going to do it for us. We have more draft content coming. If you haven't checked out the LeClairier Pleasant Johnson interview, please do that. It's up on all platforms. Masters episode. Obviously, if you're watching this episode, drop a like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and more NFL draft content is coming your way. Anton, I really appreciate it once again, man, and best of luck into your professional career.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed the episode. We'll see you guys for more draft content in the next coming weeks. Hopefully you guys have a good night, and thank you.